Welcome to International Securities Exchange's podcast series. Facilitated by renowned educators, ISE podcasts are intended to teach beginning as well as seasoned investors the ins and outs of trading. To find an updated list of podcasts, please visit www.ise.com/podcasts. Please be sure to listen to our important message following this episode regarding the risks of investing in exchange-traded options.
Because I want to show you something. This chart was not created today. This chart was created actually in June of '08, well before last year's move, well before the current trend direction. So for me, folks, I like to see a market, if it is going to adhere to past seasonal tendencies, it gives me an idea that it may continue to adhere to future seasonal tendency considerations. In other words, when we get to on or about the third week of March, guys and girls, I guarantee you, I will be looking to be out of any short position in the euro currency, and I'll be looking for long positions going into the summertime, as you can see that. All right? So from a time period of May 1st to June, notice over a year time period, and that's what we're looking at. This just is a historic 10-year seasonal pattern on the euro currency. Every year it seems to exhibit that pattern over and over and over. Now, with that said, remember I began the presentation and I stated that certain years we're either going to see a magnified move or the move could be muted. And so, bottom line, there are certain things that we also like to include. We just don't trade off of one form of analysis. It's certainly important to understand the undertone seasonality of the market. Are we in a strong time period of the year, or are we in a weak time period of the year? That's what we need to ask ourselves. Then with that statement, now we can go back and look at the longer-term chart and say, what does the market really look like? If the market peaks out in summertime, June, July time period, then I want to make sure that maybe it's demonstrating its weakness at that point in time. And I'm sure some of you have studied technical analysis, and you should certainly show me what this is. And I'm sure you're familiar. If you're not, it says it right here. We had a longer-term double top formation in the euro currency futures. Now again, this is quoted in the futures. Why am I talking about futures when we should be focusing on options on the ISE? Because very simply put, we'll get to that answer in just a second, but very simply put, the futures trade 24 hours. And we have, more importantly, I have data going back to when the futures were first started in 1972. So we have historic data going all the way back since 1972 for the majority of the currency markets. That's why we can't look at a 2-year chart or a 3-year chart from a historic perspective. We want to take from the inception of a currency or the very beginning, from the dawn, if we have that information, and kind of take a look at that information and use that information and see what's the best vehicle to trade. Now, friends, when I say the best vehicle to trade, I'm talking now as a trader about execution. I'm talking now about what's the best risk to reward. Would it be better to take a look at trading futures options? Is it a roach motel? Would it be better to take the information that I'm using from the futures and perhaps trade maybe some of these stock index or stock option products or indexes from the ISE? And that's my point. I feel it would be a lot better for individual investors to borrow the information from the futures and perhaps trade with their stock accounts on some of these ISE futures. Index options. That's the point. So hopefully you understand that you can use your charts from one market and apply the best execution or trading vehicle in another market. That's the point. So as a trader, execution is important. You can do all the historic technical analysis studies in the world, but if you don't get into the market, you don't have a chance of making money. You can't make money unless you're in the game. And if you can't get filled, and if it's a Roach Motel type situation where the bid and ask is too wide, then you're going to have an issue. So you need a market that's fairly liquid, that's transparent, and that's what one of the benefits of the ISE index options for foreign currencies offers traders. So this would be a great little hint or clue, and one of the differences of what I use the term a nuance of why we use futures as information and apply it towards other markets. As you can see here, with the euro currency, the only problem is that as a trader, and it's not really a problem, you just have to remember that it's quoted in euro to US dollar, and the ISE FX options are quoted in US dollar to euro currencies. So if it's a reversal relationship, let me ask you this question. If this is a double top in the futures, if it's going to be a reverse relationship, what would the chart on the FXE product look like? I'll give you multiple choice. A, the same, B, don't know, or C, a double bottom. And the correct answer is, some of you are on top of your game. DB stands for double bottom. Thank you for participating. Very good. A double bottom. That is correct. So if the market is going to look like the opposite of this, or if it's quoted inversely, then we would see a double bottom. So that is correct answer. And of course it does. So now, looking at this chart from the summertime, we were in July way up at 160. As you know, we went from 160 in the third week of October down to around 120. Let's just, for simplicity's sake, say around 124, 123 and change. Let's just say 124. Well, that's a heck of a foreign currency move. Then, if you are looking at a seasonal tendency and you realize that going into the end of the year, the market has a seasonal tendency to rally, then you would want to price out options not expiring in the same month or 30 days or 60 days, but possibly looking at a 90-day option to give yourself a chance for the market to mature and look for the move to actually occur. And then, if you have a seasonal tendency that the market peaks out, obviously you know to stop getting long, at least take a profit. And there's other tools that we could look at besides looking at simply seasonal patterns. Seasonal patterns are going to help you to identify when the time is that the market is most likely to go up or down, and that's important. Listening to CNBC won't give you that information more times than not, unless maybe I'm on and I'm talking about it. So, again, the euro, it is quoted in futures against the dollar. And one of the things I have to mention, and I think we already discussed this, and just rehashing a point, with the ISE's euro FX options, of course, the reverse, US dollar versus euro.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. To find more podcasts on options, stocks, alternative markets, and market data, please visit www.ise.com/podcasts.